So here we are in the design window of STM32CubeMonitor. On the left side we have blocks that we'll be placing into the design window. On the right side there is some global settings of the layout, some themes and so on. And also if we will need to configure a block, we will configure it through this side. So first we will need to create variables, specify the variables that we'll be accessing in the MCU using, of course, the ST-Link probe. So we'll need to drag and drop some acquisition out and, of course, variables. And in order to start and stop the acquisition, we will have to put there some buttons, some user interface. So let's put there start and stop buttons. First, you might notice that there is the red triangle, which actually denotes that it is not yet configured. So we first need to configure it. What we really need is, well, in order to recognize the button. So let's put there just a label. Start acquisition. And we need to send the message. This is related to the roadnet. Just type start. If you need, on the right side, you should find some information. So if you click here, you find that the topic field can be used to set the message topic property that is output. It should be done. It is okay, it is right, but we are missing one part, the chart that we will be outputting or writing the variables into. So let's put here the chart and we will, okay, let's configure the chart first. So let's put there my chart name. Okay, we have a chart created. So the chart is created. You can see it, red triangle just disappeared, as well as in start acquisition. This means that those blocks are well configured and we don't have to care about them more. So let's configure this button. We will need to assign it to the chart. Let's call it stop acquisition and send the message stop. Okay. The only mark that remains on the buttons and other blocks is the blue circle, which denotes that it is not yet deployed. This means that the changes are still not propagated into the dashboard, so you will not see the changes in the dashboard yet. So let's just interconnect these blocks. Okay, and acquisition out. Else, okay, let's see why the probe is not yet. Yeah, now it is well configured. We can edit and let's put there my probe out name. Else variables. And now what is important to understand in the variables is that when you build a project with Cube IDE, the ELF, it's called ELF executable. I will show you in the presentation. Keeps track of the global variables that we will be accessing. So you need to specify the location of the ELF file, and it is located in the debug folder. When you build the project, you can see that in my example, which is called webinar example, we have a bin, and here we can see webinar example ELF file here. So let's specify the location of the executable, which I know I have it in C, webinar example in the debug folder, and now it will scan the folder and it will list the webinar example ELF. Now it parsed the file and listed all the variables that we can read and those that we could potentially write to. So I will choose the voltage. As I mentioned, this is the global variable that I will be reading through ADC. and I will be computing it. I will show you in the code. In the code, you can see that I have in the while loop, I have a polling method. When the conversion is done, I will read the value, the raw value, and I will just simply recalculate it into the real voltage. So we have a voltage, and I also have a soft counter. This is a counter which is increased each time when a period of the PWM signal elapses. So let's check it as well. And okay, let's put there the name my variables. Let's put there also my variables group. And you can see it listed those two variables, and it is enabled. We can disable it as well, but now we can enable. It is already done. Okay, it seems we have at least we should be able to write the variables now, but not yet, because we will need to add a write panel. The write panel will be added into the my chart, and we'll be able to, through this panel, we can access those variables and writing into them. So we can, okay, we can connect in and out, and let's assign it to the chart. We can of course define the name as well. So we have this part, and this part is related to writing to the memory of the microcontroller. But what if we need to read? In that case, we need the acquisition in. So this is actually the direction from MCU to CubeMonitor. So we have it. We will need to configure the probe as well as the previous one. Let's call it my probe in. And now we will need to process those variables that we read. We have one output data, the second output error. So let's interconnect the data to the processing, and as well the data from the processing into the chart. And if we assign the processing to my variables, it will list the variables we selected from the ELF file as well. So we have it configured now. So there we go. So we should already have the chart as well, so we can deploy. You can see the green mark shows us that it is connected to my board, so this is nice. Otherwise it would be colored to red. So we can go directly to dashboard to see what we have. This is just some basic layout, but if we want, we can go here to chart and change, for example, if I want start button and stop, then chart and then my panel. So if I deploy now, I change just the order of those components. We can go to dashboard, and we can see we have start acquisition, stop acquisition button. We have the chart, and we can write using this. This is the panel that we defined here, and using this panel we can write into the variables or directly into the memory. So let's just start. Let's start the acquisition. Let's see what actually it looks like. And here we see that the soft counter. This is the soft counter. Here we can see. I will just soft counter is counting up. When it reaches the 15, it is not 0. This set two lines are not overlapped. So we can directly, for example, write in to soft counter. So what if I want to zero this counter? I can put there 0, and you can see that it was zeroed. On the voltage, we can see the PWM signal. So, well, this is something that I don't want to write to. So we can disable this. And if you, for example, would like to hide some data on the chart or show, it's very simple. Okay, so we can close the dashboard, and I will just add one button so that we can clear the chart. So I will assign it to the chart, label, let's call it clear, and topic, it's clear. Done. And now we can, yes, clear the chart. Clear button is here, so I will put it above the chart. And yes, if we deploy, the blue circle just disappeared. It means that it was successfully deployed. And yeah, we can simply, now we can clear the chart. If we start acquisition, I can clear it. Okay, that's quite simple. So